My fiancée slept with my cousin the week before our weddings, so I transferred the house to my name alone and vanished before the ceremony began. I'm a 30-year-old guy, and I thought I'd finally found my forever person. Lily was everything I thought I wanted: kind, radiant, and endlessly supportive. We met 3 years ago at a friend's engagement party. She was wearing this soft blue dress, laughing like the world existed just to make her smile. From that night on, I was hooked. We talked for hours about everything: our dreams, our careers, how both of us wanted to build something lasting. I'd been saving for years, working overtime shifts, determined to buy a house before proposing. When I finally did, her eyes filled with tears, and she said, "You make me feel safe." That one line made every sacrifice worth it. The engagement felt like a fairy tale. Our families clicked immediately: laughter, wine, endless planning sessions. My cousin Daniel was my best man. We'd grown up like brothers, so it just made sense. He and Lily got along instantly, maybe a little too easily, but I told myself that was a good thing. They'd joke around during dinners, teasing me for being the serious one. Once, I walked into the living room and found them whispering about something, both laughing. When they saw me, the conversation died instantly. Lily brushed it off, saying, "Just wedding gossip." I believed her because why wouldn't I? I spent my nights finalizing payments for the venue. Every email confirmation felt like another brick in the foundation of our future. I'd wake up beside her, look at the engagement ring on her hand, and think, this is it. This is what happiness feels like. The wedding was only a week away. Everyone said we were the perfect couple, and I believed them. Everything seemed perfect. Absolutely perfect. The week before the wedding felt like a blur, a mix of exhaustion. Every morning started with checklists: cake delivery, final fittings, seating charts. I wanted everything to be flawless, the kind of wedding people would talk about for years. I handled most of it myself because that's what I did best. Take responsibility. Lily would say, "You're such a control freak," laughing as she kissed me on the cheek. I'd laugh too, not realizing how ironic that would soon sound. I covered every cost without hesitation. The venue, the catering, even her makeup artist's travel fee. She told me she'd pay me back once she received a bonus from work. I didn't care about the money. I just wanted her happy. Still, a strange emptiness hung in the air. She'd started spending more time away, saying she was running errands, meeting her maid of honor, or finalizing surprise details. Daniel was everywhere that week. He helped me load decor into the truck, offered to check on deliveries, and joked about how he basically lived at our house now. It was supposed to be funny, but sometimes when I called Lily, she wouldn't answer, and later Daniel would mention he'd just seen her. I brushed it off. We were all stressed, right? Pre-wedding chaos made everyone act weird. One evening, I came home from work to find her on the couch with her phone tilted away from me. She quickly locked it and smiled. "Just picking out your surprise gift," she said. I wanted to believe her, so I did. I leaned down, kissed her forehead, and told her, "You're all I'll ever need." She smiled softly, but her eyes flickered like she wanted to say something and stopped herself that night. For the first time, I couldn't sleep. Something in my gut whispered that perfection doesn't usually last. The closer we got to the wedding, the more uneasy I felt. It was like watching a storm form on the horizon, quiet but undeniable. Lily started guarding her phone like it was made of gold. She'd tilt the screen away or walk into another room mid-conversation. When I asked who she was texting so often, she laughed, saying, "Just the girls. Chill. You'll see everything soon enough." I wanted to trust her, but something in her tone, that careful calm, didn't sit right. One night, while finalizing the guest list on my laptop, I overheard her in the hallway whispering, "He can't find out." My heart froze. I leaned closer, trying to make out the rest, but she ended the call with a soft, nervous laugh and walked back in, acting like nothing happened. "Who was that?" I asked. She hesitated just a fraction too long. "Daniel," she said, smiling. "We were planning your surprise." Daniel again. The name suddenly felt heavy in my chest. They'd always been friendly, laughing together, texting about wedding plans. But lately, it was different. They had inside jokes I wasn't part of, and when I'd ask what was so funny, they'd exchange a quick look before changing the topic. My best friend Mark pulled me aside after helping with decorations. "You sure everything's good with Lily?" he asked. "She's acting." Distant. I forced a laugh and said, "It's just stress. You know how women get before weddings?" But even as the words left my mouth, I hated how hollow they sounded. That night, I noticed Lily's engagement ring wasn't on her finger. "It's getting resized," she said quickly. Her smile was perfect, rehearsed. When she went to bed, I sat alone on the couch, staring at her phone, lighting up with a message. The name flashed briefly, Neil, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to lose everything I thought was real. 2 days later, I decided to take an early break from work to surprise Lily with lunch. I figured maybe I was overthinking that. I just needed to remind myself who we were. When I pulled up to the new house, her car was parked out front. Strange, because she'd told me she was visiting her mom across town. My first instinct was to knock, but something inside me said, "Wait." I stayed in the car, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. After a few minutes, I saw movement through the living room window, a shadow, then another, laughter. My stomach twisted. I told myself maybe she'd brought her maid of honor or a decorator. Still, I couldn't bring myself to go inside. The idea of finding out the truth felt worse than ignorance. So, I drove off. That night, I casually asked, "How's your mom doing?" Lily didn't flinch. "Good." We had lunch and looked at old photo albums. Her lie slid out effortlessly, smooth as silk. I forced a smile and said, "That's nice." But inside, my heart was sinking into something dark and heavy. Later, while scrolling through social media, I got a notification from an unknown number. No message, just a photo. My breath caught in my throat. It was Lily and Daniel, sitting together at a restaurant, leaning close. Her hand rested on his arm, and they were smiling like it was the most natural thing in the world. The timestamp? That same afternoon, I stared at the screen for what felt like hours. My brain screamed, "Confront her," but my heart begged, "Don't make it real yet." When Lily came out of the shower, humming softly, I quickly locked my phone and pretended to be half asleep. She kissed my forehead, whispering, "You worry too much." And for the first time, I realized I really did just not about the right things after that photo. I couldn't unsee what I'd seen. Every smile from Lily felt rehearsed, every touch staged. My gut screamed that something was off, but I needed proof. Undeniable, cold truth that even my heart couldn't argue with. So, I did something I never thought I'd do. The house still had security cameras installed from when construction finished. Most weren't even activated yet, but I knew the login credentials. One night, while Lily slept beside me, I quietly turned the system back on, setting up a discreet feed that captured the living room, the same spot where I'd seen those shadows through the window. I told myself it was paranoia, but deep down, I already knew. A few days later, while Lily was shopping for bridesmaids' gifts, I checked the recordings on my laptop. The moment I opened the file, I felt my entire body tense. There she was, walking through the door with Daniel. They were laughing, carefree. Then Daniel kissed her. Not a quick, guilty peck. A deep, deliberate kiss that erased any illusion I'd been clinging to. I felt my chest collapse in on itself. My hands trembled so violently, I almost dropped the laptop. I replayed the clip again and again, hoping to spot something that made it innocent. But the laughter, the touch, the familiarity, it was all too intimate. To real dot, when Lily came home later, she hugged me from behind and said, "I can't believe we're getting married in just a few days." I froze. The warmth of her arms felt like poison now. I nodded slowly, forcing out a weak smile that night. After she fell asleep, I sat in the dark, staring at the footage on my phone, the glow lighting up my face. Every breath hurt. Every heartbeat sounded like betrayal. And that's when the heartbreak started to turn into something colder, something that looked a lot like resolve. The next morning, I woke up with a hollow kind of calm. The footage had destroyed something inside me, but it also gave me clarity. If Lily and Daniel wanted to play games, I was done being their fool. I opened my laptop, pulled up the mortgage documents, and froze when I saw her name next to mine. We'd put the house in both our names after the engagement. A symbol of trust, she'd called it. My jaw clenched. The woman who had just cheated on me inside that very house now legally owned half of it at first. The thought of confronting her consumed me. I imagined the shouting, the tears, the fake apologies, but then something colder took over strategy. If she could betray me so smoothly, I could outsmart her just as quietly. I scheduled a meeting with my lawyer that same afternoon, pretending it was for last-minute will adjustments. He explained there was still time to transfer ownership completely into my name before the wedding, given how the contracts were filed. All I needed was her signature under the guise of a financial update. That night, Lily returned home glowing. She hugged me from behind and whispered, "Only 3 days left." I forced a smile and handed her the papers, saying, "Just some final legal stuff for the house. They need your signature for insurance." She didn't hesitate. She trusted me enough to sign it instantly, and that's when I realized just how deeply she underestimated me. For the rest of the evening, she acted sweeter than ever, cooking my favorite dinner, laughing at every joke, even holding my hand while we watched TV. She thought she'd won, but I sat beside her, silent, already planning the ending to her little game. She betrayed me in my own home. Now, she'd lose it, and everything else that came with it. For the next 2 days, I played my role perfectly, the loving, devoted fiancé counting down to the happiest day of his life. Every smile I gave her was rehearsed. Every "I love you" was measured. Inside, I felt nothing but quiet detachment, like I was watching a movie where I already knew the ending. Lily was radiant, glowing with excitement. She'd hum while trying on her wedding dress, talk about how lucky she was, how Daniel had been such a lifesaver with the errands. I'd nod, pretending not to notice the flicker of guilt in her eyes when she mentioned his name. I didn't call her out, not yet. I wanted her to feel safe, certain that her secret was buried. Daniel came over often, too, acting as if nothing was wrong. Every handshake felt like a test of willpower. His smirk lingered a little too long, his jokes a little too personal. I kept my composure, though every instinct screamed to knock him out cold. Instead, I focused on the paperwork hidden in my office drawer. The signed transfer documents, now legally placing the house entirely in my name. That night, Lily curled up beside me in bed, tracing patterns on my chest. "You've been quiet lately," she said softly. I forced a chuckle. "Just nervous." "Big day coming." She smiled, kissed my neck, and whispered, "It's going to be perfect." As she drifted off, I stared at the ceiling, feeling the strange stillness before everything breaks. My plan was set. My revenge wasn't loud or violent. It was precise, quiet, and final. Tomorrow was the rehearsal dinner. By then, everyone would still think I was the happiest man alive. But by the time the wedding came, none of them, not Lily, not Daniel, would see it coming. The night of the rehearsal dinner felt like a cruel parody, everyone laughing, clinking glasses, and calling us the perfect couple. I sat beside Lily, smiling for photos, my hand resting on hers, pretending everything was normal while every nerve in my body screamed the truth. Daniel sat across the table, laughing too loudly, stealing glances at her when he thought no one noticed. I noticed everything. The restaurant buzzed with warmth, the golden lights, the smell of roasted garlic and wine, the faint hum of music. To everyone else, it was a celebration. To me, it was a countdown. My chest burned with every toast. Her father raised his glass and said, "To love that lasts forever." The irony almost made me choke. Midway through the dinner, my best friend Mark leaned in and whispered, "You sure you're okay, man? You seem ... distant." I gave him a small smile. "Just tired," I said. He didn't buy it, but he didn't press. Maybe some part of him already knew. Then, during dessert, Daniel stood up to give a speech, unplanned. "I've known this guy my whole life," he began, slurring slightly from wine. "And Lily, you're lucky to have him." His eyes flicked to hers. "He's loyal, almost too loyal." Everyone laughed, but I saw the guilt flash across Lily's face like lightning. She forced a smile, gripping her glass so tightly her knuckles whitened. I stood next, raising my own glass. My heart pounded, but my voice was steady. "To loyalty," I said quietly, "the kind that lasts, even when others forget what it means." The table went silent for a beat before polite applause filled the room. Lily's eyes darted to mine, searching uncertain when we got home that night. She kissed me softly and whispered, "You scared me for a second." I smiled faintly. "Don't worry," I said. "Tomorrow, you'll never have to be scared again." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of what tomorrow would bring. Lily lay beside me, breathing softly. Her arm draped across my chest, like we were still us, like the last few weeks hadn't turned everything into a lie. Around 2 a.m., I slipped out of bed, went into my office, and opened the security feed one last time. Maybe I wanted reassurance that I'd done the right thing. Maybe some twisted part of me still hoped I'd been wrong. I clicked into the latest recording, time-stamped just a few hours earlier, while I'd been at the rehearsal dinner cleanup. The screen flickered, and there it was, Lily and Daniel. Together. She was still in her dress from the dinner, his hands on her waist, her lips against his. My body went numb. I watched myself die in real time, piece by piece. It wasn't rage I felt, not at first. It was emptiness, the kind that sucks the air out of a room, the kind that makes silence sound deafening. My throat tightened as I whispered, "In my house." Again, my eyes burned, but I didn't cry, not right away. I just sat there, watching the footage on loop, until something inside finally cracked. I broke down completely. My chest heaved, tears streaming uncontrollably, the sound raw and ugly. All those years of working, saving, building a life for this, for her, for them. I pressed my palms against my eyes, trying to erase the images burned into my mind, but it was useless. By dawn, I was drained, completely empty. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels heavy. I looked around the office, the documents, the ring box, the suit hanging neatly for the ceremony, and for the first time, I whispered to myself, they can have each other, but not my future. Something hardened inside me then. The pain didn't disappear, it just turned cold, focused. And final dot, the morning of the wedding dawned bright and golden, the kind of day photographers dream about. Birds chirped, sunlight poured through the curtains, and for a moment, I wondered if fate was mocking me. Lily was already awake, humming as she packed her makeup bag, smiling like she hadn't shattered my world hours before. "Big day," she said softly, kissing my cheek. "I'll see you at the venue, future husband." I nodded, forcing a grin that didn't reach my eyes. The moment she left, I exhaled, a sound halfway between relief and release. The house felt still, almost sacred. I walked through each room slowly, taking it in one last time. The kitchen we designed together, the hallway where she'd hung our engagement photos, the living room where she'd betrayed me. My jaw tightened. Not anymore. This was my house now. My name, my future. I dressed calmly, no rush, no panic. I placed my wedding suit back in the closet and instead put on jeans, a simple shirt, and my leather jacket. On the kitchen counter, I left an envelope addressed to Lily. Neat handwriting, no emotion. Inside was everything: a copy of the ownership transfer, the footage stills of her and Daniel, and a simple note that read, "Enjoy the housewarming party. It's not yours anymore." By the time guests began arriving, I was already gone. My phone was turned off. My car cut through the morning traffic as I drove farther from the city, every mile feeling lighter. I didn't stop until the skyline disappeared behind me. Back at the venue, chaos erupted. Calls went unanswered. Panic spread. Lily smiled nervously, pretending I was running late. But when she finally opened that envelope in front of everyone, her smile vanished, and for the first time in weeks, I actually did smile. Not out of joy, but out of freedom. By the time I crossed the state line, my phone had already blown up with missed calls. My mother, Lily's parents, even Daniel. I didn't answer a single one. I parked at a rest stop, sat in silence, and finally turned the phone off completely. I wasn't running away. I was reclaiming what they tried to take my peace. Later, through a mutual friend, I heard what happened at the venue. Apparently, Lily stood there smiling as long as she could, pretending everything was fine. Guests whispered, the music played awkwardly, and Daniel looked like he wanted to vanish. Then one of Lily's bridesmaids brought her the envelope I'd left behind. She opened it in front of everyone. The room went dead silent. She turned pale as she read my note, her hands shaking. Then someone, maybe Daniel's ex, started laughing. The laughter spread, nervous and cruel, echoing across the hall. Daniel stormed out, shouting that it wasn't what it looked like, but the damage was done. Both families were humiliated. The wedding that was supposed to be the event of the year turned into a public disaster. Daniel's reputation imploded. Word spread fast. Small-town gossip travels faster than fire. His girlfriend left him. His job turned awkward, and every family gathering since then has been a reminder of what he lost. As for Lily, she tried to contact me weeks later, begging to explain, claiming she'd made a mistake and still loved me. I never replied. She eventually tried to sell the house, our house, only to find out it was entirely under my name. Now, every lawyer she called confirmed it. She'd signed her share away without even realizing it, knowing that was enough. I didn't need to see her face again. The silence of my phone was all the closure I needed. It's been 8 months since the wedding that never happened. I live by the coast now, small apartment, quiet mornings, the kind of life I used to think was too lonely for me. Turns out, peace feels better than love ever did. Every morning, I walk along the beach with coffee in hand, listening to the waves crash. Steady.com, honest. There's something healing about the sea. It doesn't lie, it doesn't pretend, it just is. For a long time, I replayed everything, the laughter, the plans, the betrayal. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, seeing flashes of that footage, hearing her voice whisper, "I love you," while holding someone else. But slowly, the anger faded. Not because I forgave them, but because I stopped needing to carry the weight of what they did. They live with it now, not me. One afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. Just 2 words, "I'm sorry." No name, but I knew who it was. I stared at it for a long time, then deleted it without replying. That was the moment I knew I was truly free. Sometimes people think revenge means hurting the other person, but real revenge, it's indifference. It's building a life so peaceful that their chaos can't reach you anymore. They took my trust, my plans, my illusion of love, but not my strength. Now, when I look back, I don't feel bitterness, just clarity. She wanted a fantasy. I wanted a forever. And when the truth broke through, I didn't fight it. I walked away. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't what you take back. It's what you never give them again, your peace. And that, more than anything, is my happily ever after.